Hey everybody, Mike Colbert here. I'm going to put together a quick video to show you some of the equipment I use when I go shark fishing off the beach down in South Louisiana in the Gulf of Mexico. You can YouTube or Google shark fishing off the beach, and there's probably 100 different ways of doing it, and they all probably work. They all catch shark, so I'm not knocking the way anybody else does it, and I hope they don't knock the way I do it. I catch shark, but I've kind of developed my own method of doing it, and it works pretty well for me. The way I do it, however, does require some equipment that you know can be kind of costly unless you know friends that have this type of equipment. But you got to have a kayak. You're not going to be able to cast off the beach the way I do it. I'm getting my line out there about 350 yards out there, so obviously you're not going to be able to cast it that far, even with a big surf rod. So you got to have a kayak, and then a few other things that I'll show you real quick. So let's start off talking about the rod and reel that I use. This is the rod and reel combination that I have. This is just a regular conventional reel. It's a saltwater reel. You don't have to spend the money on saltwater, but if you use something big like this, and it's not designed for saltwater, really clean it up good when you're done using it. Saltwater really wreaks havoc on your equipment. Even if it is designed for saltwater, be sure you clean it up real good and keep it oiled. Anyway, that's a pretty good size reel. I like to use braided line. I can get a lot more line on here, and it's strong. It's strong. When I hook it to a big fish, I have a whole lot less concern about the line breaking. And like I said, because this is not a really big reel, like a big tuna reel or something, I can't get as much monofilament on there, so I can get a lot more line on here. What I have on here right now is 100-pound braided line. It's vermilion red, the color doesn't matter. But I have 900 feet, 300 yards of this red braided line spliced into another 100 feet of bright yellow line. The reason for the two different colors for me is the yellow line is kind of my warning track. If I've got a big fish and I'm playing him and he's taking a lot of line and I'm letting him have it and I'm trying to wear him out and I'm just letting him go back and forth, and me and him I'd reel some and he'd take some, I'd reel some. If he gets a big burst of energy and really starts to take off and I start seeing yellow, I know it's time to hit the brakes, it's time to do something. So it kind of gives me a little warning that, hey, I'm at the end of my line. Since I don't have a line counter on this rod, that way it kind of tells me that it's time to do something. So I have 900 feet of red spliced into 100 feet of yellow, so that gives me 1,000 feet. Then I have another 50 yards of monofilament just as a base, just so this slick braided line doesn't spin on itself. The rod is a heavy action 7-foot rod, and I've got these friction wheels on the ends of them. You don't have to buy a big rod, shark rod, that's got the friction wheels on it, but it does take a lot of the pressure off of your line, less chance of it fraying as you're bringing the fish in. Terminal in right now. This is the hook I use. This is a 20-aught, see it's a pretty good size hook, 20-aught circle hook. I like circle hooks. Once they're in, and I've only never caught a fish using a circle hook if the line breaks, or if he bites the bait in half and I get the whole hook back. So, and I don't ever think he got it in his mouth. But even if the fish swallows it, this comes back out of the belly pretty easy. But it slides and it gets right in the corner of their mouth, and man, once this is in, and you don't have to hardly ever worry about him throwing the hook. So I have this 20-aught circle hook. I have 5 foot of 200-pound steel leader. Got to use steel leaders or heavy monofilament like weed eater string, 300 pounds or so. Shark got really sharp teeth, and their fins and stuff are real abrasive. So when he's pulling and fighting, even his fins rubbing up against the line can break it. So it's really important to have some strong cable leaders or strong monofilament if you're going to use that. So I have 5-6 foot of this steel leader into a barrel swivel. Then I have another 5 foot to another barrel swivel. And this is what I tie my line to. In between the two barrel swivels here on this first section is a snap swivel, and this slides back and forth, and this is what I tie my bait, my weight into. I like to give it about 5-6 foot of running room, because once this is in the water and the weight is holding on to that, when that shark takes it, he can run about 5-6 foot before he feels any tension at all, and by that time he's probably got that bait good in his mouth. Now here comes the one thing that I've started doing that really works well for me. You get into a lot of surf, and with 250, 300 to 350 yards of line out there, that's a lot of line. And so as the waves are coming in, they're pushing and they're pulling on that line. Plus, if you have a lot of wind coming in at you, if you don't have enough weight out there to hold your bait in place, it'll slowly work its way in. You'll have to reel in a little bit of slack, make the line tight again. It'll reel some more in. You have to reel some more. And so your bait's constantly moving in land. I like it to stay out there, marinate, stay in the same spot. So a lot of people use, and I've used them and they work, are these spider weights. This is a 5-ounce spider weight. You can buy these at like Bass Pro, Academy I think sells them. You have to order them. Or any big bait shop down south probably sells these. You don't get them up north very much where I'm from. So I have to special order these or make these myself. These are some other ones that I got, and these are designed to dig into the sand, and then these arms flip out of the way, you know, kind of create less drag. And they work good, but nothing works as good as what I've developed. And what I have here is, this is nothing more than just a bunch of concrete, sackcrete, in a Dixie Solo cup with some baling wire as an eye. Hence the reason for a kayak. You're not casting this out there. But I don't put it directly to my barrel swivel. You can put these on there and just use this as your setup. Sometimes I use both, but what I've done is what I use is monofilament, 20-pound monofilament. I take a small barrel swivel with about a foot of 20-pound monofilament to a small snap swivel. I use that barrel swivel to hook in to my big swivel snap, and then use this small barrel swivel to hook into my line. And the nice thing is that holds. And once you cast this out there, or once you kayak it out there about however far you want to go, you drop it in the water. That concrete, that's about 2.5 pounds of concrete. It sticks in the sand. You don't have to worry about your bait moving at all. So that's what I do. So I have my bait here, and then I have my on the end here. So I get my hook baited up, I like to use Stingray. Stingray works really, really good for shark. Put my Stingray on the hook, and how you hook it, you know what, I've seen 20 different ways of hooking it, and I just hook it through the wing. If it's alive, if it's dead, it doesn't really matter where you hook it. Just hook it into your bait, put it on your kayak it out there, dump it off, have somebody back on the beach ready to lock in your rod. Then you put it in your holder and you wait. Now what I like to do is, once I have this all set up and I have all my slack reeled in, I like to put the clicker on, and I like to set my drag pretty loose. And you put that audible clicker on there. What happens is when that fish hits it, he can start taking line, and he doesn't feel much resistance. That 20-pound test line that's holding that weight will snap right off. So he'll have almost no friction. It works, it's a system that works really, really good. He hits the bait, off he goes, pop, it snaps that monofilament. Now you've lost the weight, no big deal. That stuff is cheap. I can make 50 weights, you know, for $5-6. So every time you cast that out or dump that off your kayak and you set your line ready to go, you're going to lose that weight. When you're ready to bring it in and check your bait, just give it a little tug and that 20-pound test line snaps right off, and you just reel in your line and your bait and check it. Then you just rebait everything else, put you a new setup on there, kayak it back out, drop it in, and off you go. But that's the way I do it. It works well. We catch shark, so let's go catch us some stingray. That's another thing I was going to talk about, was the bait. For shark, I like to use stingray if you can find them. Down there in Grand Isle where I go fishing, right about an hour before it starts getting dark, right at dusk, small stingrays come in, and they're everywhere. A lot of people don't realize they're out there. In fact, my 14-year-old got stung on the ankle by one our first night down there this last trip. But you take your headlamp and you just take a little scoop net, you know, pretty good sized scoop net, and just start walking the beach and just walk real careful, and you'll see stingrays out there. So if you can find a bunch of stingray, that's good. Live mullet, live whiting, croaker, but like anything else, you know, I like to use baits that are 12 inches long or bigger. Big bait catches big fish, especially if you kayak it way out there. You got a big hook on there, you got a lot of line, it's deep out there, you got a big bait, you stand a lot better chance of catching a good shark. So that's the way I do it. And let's throw some bait out there and see if we can't catch us some fish. And anyway, thanks for watching. That's the way I do it.
Moses was a Cajun. He lived by himself in the swamp. He hunted alligator for a living. He just knocked him in the head with a stomp. Louisiana law gonna get you, Amos. It ain't illegal hunting alligator down in the swamp now. Really, everyone blamed this old man for making him mean as a snake. When Amos Moses was a boy, his daddy would use him for alligator bait. Tie a rope around his neck and chunking in the swamp. Alligator bait in the Louisiana bayou. About 45 minutes southeast of Thibodeau, Louisiana, live a man named Doc Millsap and his pretty wife Hannah. They raised up a son who could eat his weight in groceries. Named him after a man with a claw. Called him Amos Moses. Now the folks around South Louisiana said Amos was a hell of a man. He could trap the biggest, meanest alligator and just use one hand. That's all he got left, cause the alligator bit it. Left arm gone clean up to the elbow. Well, the sheriff got wind that Amos was in the swamp trapping alligator skin. So he stuck in the swamp and gonna get the boy, but he never come out again. Well, I wonder where the Louisiana sheriff went to. Now you can sure get lost in the